So if you are following along in your booklet or at home following along in the booklet somehow, some way, I think this next part really does make sense. How does my body know when to tell my bones to make red blood cells? How does my body know how to move? How do I know how to breathe, whether I'm controlling it or not? How does my heart know how to move blood? How does my digestive system know when to digest? How does my bladder know when to tell me I have to pee? How does my colon know when I have to go to the bathroom? How does your body know how to do all of this? And I think if you're on that last, well, not last page, but the last organ system page, you kind of have the answer in front of you, right? There has to be something sending signals across your body to tell your body what to do, right? It's not like your diaphragm has knowledge of how to do its job and just starts working. And your digestive system says, I know what I'm supposed to do. I'm just going to start working. That's not how this works. There has to be a central control area for all this. And there's got to be something sending and receiving signals. And that is exactly what we are getting into when we talk about the nervous system. The nervous system. Now, the nervous system, when you're working on your project, is a pretty easy thing to do. There are, I guess, three main components to the nervous system, although we could get a little bit more technical, but three main components. You have your brain, and your brain is like the central hub, Dawson. It is like the thing that knows everything. It's like a giant supercomputer that has all of the information stored inside of it. But that does me no good whatsoever if it's just sitting in my head, right? And I'm not using it, and I don't have a way for the information to get from the computer to somewhere else. Stemming off of your brain is your spinal cord. And that is like the Ethernet or the internet that runs from the main place to the rest of your body that sends all the information out. So the brain is like a giant computer. It has all the information. How do I get that somewhere else? I connect some wires to it, especially one big wire, and send that out. Now, attached to that spinal cord are tons of other little wires. And that's where all of your other nerves are. And that's where all the communication takes place. So it's almost like spectrum is the brain. It has all the internet, right? Spectrum. So what do? They run a big giant wire from the main spectrum office out into the community, and then that branches off into all the houses, right? And everybody has a way to get the information sent to them. And if you need to, you can send information back to Spectrum. Although, hopefully your brain never acts like Spectrum and answers you like 3 or 4 days later, even though your internet's out and you can't do your work, right? So, we have two things. Two things inside of all of that. You have something called your central nervous system. That's the two main parts. That's your brain and your spinal cord. That's the two main focuses of how information gets sent around your body. And then you have the peripheral nervous system, and that's just outside of the main focus. Just outside of the main focus. You all have peripheral vision, right? Like, I can see Miss Hubbard over here. Like, I'm looking at Jada, but through my peripheral vision, I can see her over in her room, but she's not my main focus, is she? I see her. Now, all of a sudden, like, if she were to, like, start uncaging a lion and, like, showing the lion a picture of me and going, this is the guy you need to eat, like, I would notice that, and then I would look over there and be like, and lock the door. And then I would go out the window, right, and maybe spray Mason with some meat-flavored spray or something on the way out. So when the lion comes in, it at least goes over to him for a little bit and has a snack before it can get to me. But I would be in the bus and rolling before that. I'm out. So you have the peripheral. It's important. I mean, right, your body can't function without the peripheral because you have to have all the other parts connected, but you certainly can't function without the brain and the spinal cord. So let's dig into that, and then we'll get into our notes. Nerves, when I start talking about nerves, Braden, they are like little wires that go all over your body. They send and receive signals. They send and receive signals, okay? And you have some that are very, very long. I know we talked about this when we were doing like how big certain cells are. There's a nerve cell that goes from your foot up to your spinal cord. That's a big one nerve, right? That's a pretty big one. Again, we have motor nerves and sensory nerves. Motor nerves are the ones that let you move around. Sensory nerves are exactly what you think they are. Right?
I don't know.
You're sitting next to Mr. Bullens and you're going, I don't think he showered yesterday. Right? He smells, right? So that's a nerve. Then you look and you go, oh yeah, he's definitely dirty. Then you hear me talking to Ruby going, yeah, I didn't shower yesterday. I'm feeling pretty bad about that. I fell asleep and got up late. So you can hear me, right? Then you have the sense of touch. I know that when I put my hand on a stove, through conduction, it can burn me, right? But before I even get to the stove, my hand senses the heat through touch, and I actually can stop myself from touching the stove before I touch it, right? Like this morning, I went in the bathroom to get ready. There was like a straightener there, like a hair straightener. And I thought, I wonder if that's warm. I put my hand near it. It was warm, pretty hot. My wife had used that this morning. So I was like, oh, I better not touch that. Otherwise, I'm going to burn myself. So I left it sitting where it was. Because you can feel things through sensory nerves. Inside of your peripheral, remember that's the ones that are attached to the brain and the spinal cord. Inside of your peripheral nervous system, you have two types of nerves. The autonomic and the somatic. What does autonomic sound like? It sounds like a certain word. Automatic. And are there things in our body that do things automatically?
Yes.
What are those things called? We studied that with the muscular system, Malachi. Involuntary. Right? They do things automatically. So your autonomic is the things that are involuntary. Your somatic nerves are the ones that you can control, like raising your hand and moving your mouth and talking in class when you should be listening and moving your hand and writing notes. So let's take a look at these really quickly. What are the main organs? Brain, spinal cord, and nerves. The brain, the spinal cord, and nerves are your three main organs of the nervous system. Your brain, your spinal cord, and your nerves. Now, I'm going to be very honest with you. Your brain's an organ. The big thing you need to take away from this, Carter, is that your nervous system controls your body. If you've got that down, autonomic and somatic are just extra information. That's kind of like 206 bones. I don't think that's going to show up on the test. Nerves, absolutely. Peripheral and central nervous system, probably not going to show up on the test. That's extra information, kind of like the 206 bones. It's good to know, but you don't have to know it all. Has everybody written those like 4 words down? I would hope so. I'm going to move on. Again, you don't really need to write all this stuff about peripheral. Your brain and your spinal cord are your central nervous system. They are the main place that all information is stored and sent out. They receive information. They send information. They receive information and take and send information back out. Send and if I could spell correctly. They send and receive information. Again, the brain is the main control center. It is what sends the signals all over your body, but it can't send those signals through your body by itself, right? It has to be attached to something, and that thing that it's attached to is your spinal cord. That's why your spine is so important in your skeletal system, right? If you damage your back your brain can't send informations to different parts of your body. So some people that have really damaged their back can't move their legs. Why? Because their brain can't send any signals to their legs to do anything. The signal has been cut off. It's no longer there. If you don't have internet running to your house, can you get on the computer? No. No, you can't get on the computer. You can't make it do anything. It's just there. So again, you don't have to write all of that down. You do need to know that the brain is the main control center. You need to know that the spinal cord is like the main line of communication that all the nerves are attached to. And you need to kind of know what the nerves are. Do you need to like motor nerves, sensory nerves, autonomic and somatic? You don't have to memorize all of that. But what are the nerves? They are the teeny tiny little wires that send and receive signals, right? Do I have nerves in my finger? Let's think about that. Do I? If I rub my finger across sandpaper, can I feel that it's rough? If I rub that same finger across silk, can I feel that it's smooth? Can I touch a piece of ice and feel that it's cold? Can I touch something that's hot and feel that it's hot? Then you obviously have nerves in your fingers. Think about every inch of your skin. Is there anywhere on your skin that you could either like have a match touching or ice touching that you wouldn't feel cold and hot? No, so your entire body is covered in nerves. The bottom of your foot, in between your toes, the top of your toes, the top of your foot, your ankle, the back of your ankle, your calf, your knee, your leg, your back, your arms, your underarms. Like your shoulders, your ears, your eyelids, your nose, your chin, all of those places are covered in nerves because they have to sense what's going on in the outside world. Ruby, question.
For people who can't feel pain, does it affect the nerves?
If there are people out there that can't sense pain or their pain sense is dulled, it's lower, and there probably is something going on with the nerves there or the connection to the brain or maybe something in the spinal cord, but that could be very dangerous, right? If you can't feel pain and you pick up a pan and it's hot, just because you don't feel it, it's still burning you, right? Which means you would have damage on your hand. You all know what it likes to get burned. I got burned by bacon grease like maybe 2 weeks ago and it's still healing, right? Still healing. You could really get hurt if you can't feel temperature differences, right? That could be very dangerous if you can't feel the differences in temperature. Or if you don't feel pain, you're hiking through the woods at Hanging Rock and one of the not tons of, but one of the rattlesnakes that are there, I've seen them, bites you in the leg, but you don't feel pain. Right? You don't realize anything until all of a sudden you start to feel super dizzy and you're throwing up and you look down at your legs like the size of an elephant leg and you're going, oh, something must have happened. Not being able to feel that or sense that or have your brain tell you something's going on could be very dangerous. Your body needs that constant communication through everything, right? That's why it's important to know, because then somebody could have a broken arm and not know it. That could cause massive complications. You need to have that. Everything in your body is wired with nerves, and it does that so that your body can send and receive messages. Not just, hey, digestive system, go do what you're supposed to do, but also, I don't feel so good today. Like my stomach hurts, I'm feeling sick. I must have ate something I'm not supposed to, and then your body eventually says, yeah, that really shouldn't be in you. Let's get rid of that. So sometimes when you throw up, it's not fun. It's not necessarily the worst thing in the world. That's your body saying that really should not be inside of you. Let's get it out of you one way or another. So lots of good questions, I think, about what the nervous system does. And again, the main function of the nervous system, you don't have to memorize every word down here. The brain and the spinal cord and the nerves, what do they do? What's the main thing they do? They send and receive signals around the body. It tells the body what to do, and it tells the body what's going on in the world outside of it. All right, so we'll end this up really quickly here.